I'm Dan Rakes and welcome to AIU Perspectives. I'm at Acrisure Stadium, home to the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Pitt Panthers, and today, students from local school districts. Students from across Western Pennsylvania have come to the North Shore to be heard.
It's okay to go out and speak up for yourself when you're struggling.
Just checking on your students is it makes an impact.
How the activating agency, My Voice Matters Student Symposium, is helping students focus on mental wellness.
The Pennsylvania STEEL standards are now a key pillar of local education.
We try to emphasize deeper understanding and an explanatory element of learning.
How the AIU Math and Science Collaborative makes discovery a focus for students and teachers.
Plus, we take a look at the AIU's STEAM Lending Library, how this tool from Transform Ed helps local educators innovate in their classrooms. Right now, though, the Student Symposium that's taking place here at Acrisure Stadium is putting student voices first. And we're finding out how those voices will echo well beyond Pittsburgh's Three Rivers.
It's okay to go out and speak up for yourself when you're struggling.
Just checking on your students is it makes an impact. It does, I know from experience.
This event allows us to gain youth voice straight from them. It's unfiltered.
Bringing students together, not to lecture at them, but to hear from them. That was the purpose of the activating agency My Voice Matters Student Symposium at Acrisure Stadium in November, hosted by the Pennsylvania Department of Education and organized by the AIU.
This day has meant so much. We've been planning for a year, and to see it come together and to see the students so excited, just seeing them talk and have those conversations at the table it's fulfilled my dream for this.
AIU project coordinator Shannon Fagan led the organization of this symposium. Nearly 200 students from dozens of local school districts came to the North Shore, ready to speak up about their mental health and well-being.
Because we're all humans, it's okay to not be okay, and that if you speak up, that's the most amazing thing you can do.
So I think coming out here today can give us a different perspective on what we can do in the school to help normalize conversations and help students, if they're struggling, reach out.
State education officials will use the feedback from this symposium and for others across the state to inform a mental wellness report that will be shared with the governor.
We need to make sure the students are heard, but not only that we've created an environment where they can be heard and where they feel safe enough to speak the truth.
They believe it's critical to hear from students. That means being open, even uncomfortable. And that means small gestures can have a big impact.
The number one way to help student mental health is to form relationships. When students feel valued and seen, whether they have a mental health concern or not, they are more mentally healthy and their well-being improves. So saying hi, smiling at students, using their names, just forming an authentic connection saves lives.
These educators believe school staff need to listen to students just as much as students listen to them.
Sometimes we're so focused on the end goal that we forget that we have 20 students in front of us that have different perspectives, different learning styles. So really spending that time to understand where students come from.
Why we're in education is about the students. So I am so happy that we're taking the time to actually hear from them.
They don't have to be a therapist. They just have to be that person to connect students to the next person that they need help from.
The symposium started with questions posed to students by trained facilitators about their mental wellness.
Like how administrators can best support students, and we as a group generally agreed on listening to us and giving us a voice at the table.
They discussed solutions to issues either they or their classmates may be facing, and they were encouraged to dig deep.
So having that communication and dealing with everybody's personal struggles and learning that maybe your experience isn't unique, you're not alone.
Midway through the day, a man familiar with the field at Acrisure Stadium arrived in a different role.
Adversity is a comma in life, not a period, right? Just because it's happening right now doesn't mean it's going to happen forever.
Trey Tipton is a former Pitt Panther wide receiver who struggled with his mental health. As keynote speaker, Trey discussed a series of low points he faced both on and off the field, including nearly taking his own life.
It's important because it's the next generation, right? The goal is to try to find a way to defeat the mental illnesses that happen in the world. And at the end of the day, it's not going to happen overnight. It might not happen in our lifetime, right? But the next group has to be ready. You know what I mean? To prepare them with the right tools to mentally be prepared for anything is the goal of mine, right? So I want to be able to help kids be able to see themselves for who they are and be strong enough to handle the adversities that are coming their way.
Tipton, who went on to attain degrees in communications and graduate social work, founded Love, Living Out Victoriously Every Day, a nonprofit group that counsels student athletes who face struggles like his.
Right. A lot of people don't talk about the accountability of mental health. A lot of people talk about, well, this is happening to me, so somebody got to feel sorry for me. And that's not always the case, right? You're strong enough to do it, and you're capable to do it, but you got to understand that comes with a lot of accountability. So my goal in this whole speech is to help people to be accountable of their emotions, but also be accountable of their ability to speak up and speak out.
Students took Tipton's words to heart.
You really don't want to keep that all in because it'll build up over time and it hurts, and you don't want that to happen.
The emphasis on activating agency in these students is essential, according to Fagan.
And I hope that our students feel empowered, that they're listened to, that their voice matters, and that they can activate agency in their own schools. They can be the difference they want to see, they can inspire others, and they know how to help a student if they need it.
During the symposium, students and staff also got to enjoy the host venue, taking guided tours of Acrisure Stadium from the field to the locker rooms. The event also featured a few furry friends. We're here at the symposium, and we've got two very good boys who are therapy dogs who are helping out the students and the teachers here at the symposium. And they were more than willing to comfort students.
The students enjoy them, and they're well-behaved dogs, and so
and he's also very fluffy. I think that helps too.
The fluffiness, yeah.
The symposium grew out of Fagan's work with SEEKS SES, supporting expansion and enhancement of K-12 school-based social emotional supports. Funded by the Allegheny County Health Department and managed by the AIU, this 3-year grant program was created during the COVID pandemic, teaming 10 local school districts with 3 universities to develop resources to improve students' mental and physical health.
So I'm in a great position to learn about not only resources, but the needs that our districts have and our university partners have. And I try to connect and bring those together so we can figure out if there's no funding, what can we do together?
The program is transitioning to 5 districts while adding opioid abuse prevention resources. But all the lessons and connections from SEEKS are being kept alive in a new AIU podcast, Open Doors.
The information that we share on the podcast could be for any district to learn about what we've done, how they may connect with a resource that we've brought in for our SEEKS schools, highlights the goodness that they do in the communities.
The work done by Fagan and the AIU have developed an ecosystem of supports and resources that many students at the symposium have taken advantage of. All of it starting with the student's voice.
Reaching out and, leaning on other people for support can really help.
Having that liberty to speak up is not something that everybody has, so if I can encourage even one more person to speak their mind and say how they feel, I think that's enough for me.
As students filed out of the stadium, they left knowing they can make their voices heard. After this symposium, they have the tools and the support to know their words will matter. In October, local educators came to the Allegheny Intermediate Unit to explore TransformEd's STEAM Lending Library. Made possible with support from the Pittsburgh Penguins Foundation and Wesco, the STEAM Lending Library is a vital resource. Educators can borrow materials from the library to use in their classrooms, but before they do, they can attend interactive training sessions like this one to hone their skills and build their confidence. During this session, educators also discussed best practices and lesson ideas with applications that can be infused in any content area. Plus, no prior experience is needed, so educators of all backgrounds can attend sessions like these to discover STEAM-related tools and ideas for their classrooms. For more information on the STEAM Lending Library and future workshops, check out the TransformEd section of our website, aiu3.net.
School districts across Pennsylvania are preparing for a shift in how science and technology are taught in classrooms. The new statewide standards, known as STEELS, Science, Technology and Engineering, Environmental Literacy and Sustainability, were adopted by the state in July of 2022, with the 2025-2026 school year marking the first time they're expected to be fully implemented across all districts.
We were kind of late to the game, but that provided us kind of an advantage because we could kind of stand on the shoulders of the states that had adopted early on and learn from the lessons that they had endured.
STEELS replaces older science and technology standards with a more integrated approach. Rather than teaching them as separate subjects, the new standards shift away from traditional content-based instruction and toward a more realistic, phenomenon-based model of learning.
The phenomenon basis is that there's something that happens in our real world or our engineered world that we need science to help us understand. And then throughout the unit of study, we keep coming back to that thing that we want to explain and understand more deeply, and we explain another part of it.
Instruction under the STEEL standards helps guide the study of the natural and human-made world through inquiry, problem-solving, critical thinking, and authentic exploration.
Gaining that perspective in student hat of really kind of dealing with that productive uncertainty, that productive need, I need to know something, can only be generated if you're in the moment.
This approach emphasizes student engagement through investigations, which may include hands-on laboratory experiences, as well as access to online simulations and data sets. These new opportunities make scientific investigation more accessible for students across all grade levels.
I find it extremely helpful as an educator to kind of really anticipate where my students are coming from. Like I'm working with 5th graders, so they're 9, 10 years old. What experiences might they be drawing on when I'm asking or posing a question like this, or engaging them in some kind of a phenomena.
In Allegheny County, the Allegheny Intermediate Unit plays a key role in helping local school districts transition to the new standards. This support includes professional development, such as teacher workshops and curriculum planning assistance, ensuring that each district can implement STEELs effectively.
We provide a lot of professional development and training here, anything from a one-day kind of exposure, which is called digging into three-dimensional phenomenon-based science teaching and learning. We provide introductory institutes for elementary educators and secondary educators.
In addition to teacher training, the AIU is also working with administrators to ensure consistent system-wide implementation.
We also provide professional learning geared just for administrators so that they can support teachers in making these changes. And that's a 2-day offering where we talk about not only the standards themselves and give administrators a chance to experience science as a student.
The STEEL standards are designed to span all grade levels, gradually building students' knowledge and skills over time. The ultimate goal is to prepare students for college, careers, and civic life.
We just are learning science in a deeper, more complete way with those cross-cutting concepts in mind that provide the connections between and among our science content areas, and with those science and engineering practices as our ways of investigating science, using models to a greater degree, thinking more about how to investigate and what to investigate.
Statewide implementation of the STEEL standards is set for the 2025-2026 school year. While the change brings excitement, it also comes with challenges for educators who are adjusting to new ways of teaching and learning.
So some of the challenges that we run into as teachers is shifting our practice. Change is always hard for anybody, no matter what. And as we ask teachers to de-emphasize memorization of vocabulary or de-emphasize memorization of formulas, that's a shift for a lot of us.
Soon, all Pennsylvania students will begin learning under the STEELS framework, opening the door to new opportunities to engage with science, technology, and sustainability directly in their classrooms.
So it's important to wear a student hat so we can also be curious and remember what it's like to be a curious child.
Thanks so much for joining us. That's going to do it for this episode of AIU Perspectives. And in case you haven't noticed, Season 3 has been extended. We'll be back with our next episode in the spring. In the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel, and also follow the AIU on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter X. We'll see you next time.